What kinds of perches should you use with your parrot? Let's find out in this video. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Parrot Teacher. I'm David and today we are doing a video on perches. People often ask questions, what sort of perches should I have? What length of perches should I have? What types are good, what types are bad? And I thought it'd be really nice to do a video discussing some of the types I like, and especially certain types that we found very beneficial for our own flock and through our clients' birds who have seen lots of improvements in behaviour due to various perch choices. So I'd like to give a huge thank you to Northern Parrots for sponsoring this video and providing a lot of the perches that I am showing. I could obviously show the perches we already have in the cage, most of them are from Northern Parrots, but a lot of them have had a lot of use, so I wanted nice fresh perches to show you before the birds inevitably get to enjoy them. So thank you very much Northern Parrots. If you want to check out any of these perches, there will be a link in the description so you can go and explore them for yourself. Before I start exploring the individual types of perches I want to feature in this video, I felt it was very important to mention how important having lots of different perching options is for your parrot. Perches are basically the furniture of your parrot's cage. If you think about toys as their entertainment, obviously food is their food, perches are their furniture, so you want them to be varied, comfortable and nice for them. It's really important to get it right because some people seem to think that you just put a couple of dowels in there and that's going to be sufficient. And if you think about that in a human equivalent, a couple of dowels is the equivalent of a couple of plain wooden stools without any padding. That is what you're giving your bird if that's all you have in there. And I don't think you'd be very happy if you just had a couple of wooden stools in your entire room or entire property. It's not nice. So the more perching options we have for them, the better. And it can help with their enrichment, it can help with their foot health, it can help them maneuver and explore the cage. And it's very important to have lots of them. Now, I'm not going to completely trash wooden dowels. I reckon having one in a cage is okay, but other than that, you want loads of different options because if you have nothing but dowels, it's very bad for their feet. So let's explore some of the lovely perching options I have to show you today. When you traditionally think of a perch, you think of something long, thin, and made out of wood. And that's not necessarily the worst view to have a perches. Most perches will be like that. However, there are other types of perches that are very beneficial for parrots, and we have especially found them very enriching for our own flock. So I'm going to pick up a few of them now. And these are platform perches, and they come in a variety of shapes and sizes to fit various cages. For example, here I have two wooden ones which are designed for corners, and one's a small from Northern Parrots, one is a slightly larger one. And basically you can sort of tailor them to your size cage and where they need to be manoeuvred. And platform perches are really cool. You can even get them in other materials such as manzanita, which can basically be placed anywhere. Why do I like platform perches so much? Mostly because they provide extra enrichment for your parrot. A platform is somewhere you can scatter treats on, you can put enrichment activities, you can put toys near, and it's something a bit different for their feet. It encourages them to use their feet flat rather than gripping, and you may think that's not very beneficial, but occasionally that is very useful for them. But mostly it's about the enrichment. We have found that our birds love their platform perches. Traditionally, you'd only really see platform perches in rodent cages, but now we're seeing them more and more in parrot cages purely because they provide great activity stations, having toys near them, having, as I said, treats or foraging activities on them, especially if you get a larger one. They even serve as places for them to congregate. For example, our cockatiels, especially on the sort of larger sizes we have here, they like to all congregate on there, do their beak snapping, and then bite the edges of it. And you don't often see cockatiels biting harder wood, so it does encourage them to actually chew on the platform perches, which I think is quite engaging. Now this is going to be the next section as well, but I wanted to quickly grab it now as well. You can even get cork platform perches now, and these have been a massive hit with our flock. They're a little bit difficult to clean, I must admit. However, they are really cool because they love biting on them. There's texture, you can hide treats in them. So yeah, let's talk about cork now. So we like cork perches as well. These have become very popular with our flock as well. I want to show you some long ones. We'll show you some of the older ones in some existing footage, but they're currently out of stock and should be back in soon. We love cork perches because they're very textured. They're great for parrots' feet. They can even help with wearing down nails, and they love destroying them. If you have a perch that doubles up as a toy, that's a really big bonus, and it's just a natural, lovely material. It's quite porous, so I would recommend giving it a quick F10 when it first arrives and letting it dry, just to make sure that everything's safe on there. But they are awesome perches, just like a platform perch, especially if you get cork platforms, they can make great activity and enrichment stations. And you can probably guess that I really like platform perches because yeah, we've just seen so many benefits since we've popped them in, and we've made sure every single cage has at least 1 or 2 of them. And the fact that they do come in sort of this sort of size as well gives you a lot more flexibility. But going back to cork, otherwise I'll be on platforms for a while because it deserves its own video almost. Cork perches are awesome purely because of the destructibility, the benefit to your parrot's feet, and the texture. It's also quite naturalistic. It kind of simulates a natural environment. You know, they wouldn't be just on twigs and branches all the time. They would go on larger tree trunks and all sorts, and that kind of simulates that for them. Very nice perches. Highly recommend cork perches. And it wouldn't be a perch video if I didn't talk about at least one kind of natural, normal one. This is a natural willow perch, nice, normal, standard perch, a little bit longer because we kind of like the length in our cages because we supersized them as much as we could. Basic perching is completely fine. We prefer bark covered because again, it's more natural and it's a bit more grippy for them, but you can get other types as well. These are your kind of staple. You want them at all different shapes and sizes, you want them different lengths, and you want them all throughout your cage so your parrot can navigate easily. Think about the cage layout and how they move around it, because the more of these you have in there, the more stations you set up, the easier it is for them to navigate and move around, the more likely they are to do so. These sort of perches are also very good for peaking perches, which you may have heard of in my how to get your bird back in the cage or initial bonding videos. And peaking perches are absolutely awesome, so please do explore those videos because they make going back in the cage and initial bonding and training so much easier. They can even help with biting training. But we cannot forget or leave out the standard perch because they have a perfect place in our parrot's environment, and it would be silly not to have a few of them in there. In the wild, branches wouldn't necessarily be straight. A lot of the perches you see are straight and they're great and they fit in our cages lovely, but you can also get lovely sort of more natural shaped ones which have different shapes and sizes. Now I went for the small because the large ones really are large, but these ones are sort of just really natural looking. And what I love about this one specifically is we've got one in Kipling's cage towards the bottom, and you can just see Louis and Kipling hopping between the little ones on the perch, which is good exercise for them. So having some of these makes your cage look a bit more natural. It gives you a bit more scope to hang toys in different locations. For example, you can have one on that side, one on that side, and they're very useful. Yeah, having a couple of these is very good. A lot of perches you see in the form I'm about to show you tend to come in cotton rope form. Now, I'm not going to completely bash cotton rope. We don't really recommend it. If your bird does not bite on it or destroy it at all and just use it as a perch, completely fine. But if they do, it's unsafe. But we recommend instead Sisal. Sisal is natural, it prevents the dangers of crop impaction, and it is just as good and fun. It's also eminently destructible because they do love to bite on these things, and because of the way the ropes are shaped, you can make all sorts of interesting things both in and outside the cage. For example, this is a nice simple like donut sort of shape, and we use that often just to create sort of bridges and locations within the cage. Then you have these ones which are a lot longer, and they're kind of like buoying shapes. So you can either use them as a buoying, or you can just create these lovely little spirals or locations for your parrot to explore and run around. Great for exercise, great for opening up the cage environment. We frequently just like them, they like seeing them sit on there. They sit on there, take their treats on there, and then maybe they'll just take them a bit further away if they want some space from the other partner, or they'll go elsewhere. And it's another great way of opening up your cage Sisal material, and a lot safer than cotton rope ones. It's another perch that I've said that a lot, another perch. There are a lot of other perches. A perch is like basically like a natural material vine swing. And you've got attachments on either side, so you can attach them to corners, or you can even just have it like hanging. This has become quite a big hit with our conures especially. The cockatiels, they're not quite as big a fan of it, although granted we could have given them more time to introduce it, but the conures love these. You frequently see them sitting on there and just like swinging almost, using it as a natural swing. And I like the textured bits. You can even hide little bits of treats in there. Again, slightly harder to clean, but nothing a bit of F10 elbow grease won't deal with. And again, if you'll see a lot of these perches I'm suggesting in this video make your bird's environment look a bit more natural and also a little bit less boring, because plain perches are great, but the more of this sort of thing you add on and also introduce slowly and get them descents to, the more fun they have. And this has been a huge hit of our conures. And second to last, I wanted to talk about non-traditional ones. So we've got it's a wood effect apparently, but we've never noticed the wood effect for this. It's basically a seashell perch. It's made out of natural seashell. They can destroy it, they can get some benefit of it. And then we also have our calcium clam perch, which is also a very big hit with the cockatiels and conures actually. And I want to introduce these two because this one is a very good natural way of filing nails. It is not a sanding perch. I want to make that very clear. There's no sandpaper on there at all. It is a natural perch with seashell material, which is chewable and it is good for nail filing. This one, not so good for nail filing, but it kind of almost forms a platform, and the cockatiels especially love sitting on it and biting at it. They do get some benefit from it, although we do prefer to provide all of that stuff in their diet, but it doesn't hurt to have a kind of natural material they can supplement that with. And it's got quite lovely colours on it, so even though the conures, we don't tend to give them to the conures as much these days, purely because they'll go on it and they'll poop on it and then it'll be hard to clean, but they do benefit from it as well, and these are good options to consider. Just briefly in this video, I want to talk about perching options outside the cage. I know I've covered this in other videos, but don't forget there are options you can have depending on your lifestyle. You can just set up a shelf, a normal shelf. You can maybe use the platform shelves I featured in this video. You can have buoyings. You can even just get a tabletop placetop stand, which gives your birds some perching options outside the cage, because we want them to have nice furniture inside the cage and we want them to have their own space and furniture outside the cage as well, which is really important for them. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, comment and give me a subscription as well. That really does help. Thank you again to Northern Parrots for sponsoring this video. We are going to put these perches straight in their cages so they can enjoy them. If you have any other comments or questions, I'd love to hear from you, but in the meantime, take care and see you later.